Did you know that in the last 12 months, Americans spent over $71 billion on things they didn't even want? By the time this video ends, thousands of people will have clicked buy now on items they'll regret by Tuesday. Today, I'm going to show you the one psychological kill switch that stops the bleeding and builds wealth on autopilot. It's 2026, and the Buy Now button isn't just a convenience anymore. It's a weapon. We are living in an era of predictive AI marketing. The algorithms on your phone now anticipate your desires before you even feel them. They know you're tired, they know you're stressed, and they know exactly which ad will trigger a purchase. Right now, 67% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, including people making six figures. It's not a poverty problem, it's a structural trap. Your brain's neurobiology is being hacked. When you see a targeted ad, your brain releases dopamine, the seeking chemical. When you hit that Buy Now button, your brain mistakes that purchase for a survival win, much like a hunter-gatherer finding food. But this is an illusion. It's an invisible drain. We are sweating the small stuff, like missing out on a $2.14 store discount, while ignoring the massive financial leaks. We are hemorrhaging money through microtransactions, 29% APR credit card interest, and subscription models where you pay before the dirt even shows up. 68% of people admit to feeling instant regret after an impulse purchase. You aren't buying a product, you're buying a 30-second dopamine hit that costs you years of financial sovereignty. 24% of Americans have zero emergency savings, and it's because our survival instinct has been redirected towards Amazon carts instead of bank accounts. You see, the real problem isn't that people spend money, it's how they're being trained to spend it. Because modern spending isn't accidental anymore, it's engineered. Every notification, every flash sale countdown, every only two left in stock message is designed to bypass your logic and hit your impulses. The system doesn't want you thinking, it wants you reacting. And the faster you react, the richer someone else gets. This is where the trap tightens. Your brain runs on two systems, the fast brain and the slow brain. The fast brain is emotional, impulsive, and automatic. The slow brain is logical, patient, and strategic. Wealth is built with the slow brain. Poverty is maintained by the fast brain. Guess which one ads target? Exactly. They rush you before your slow brain can wake up. That's why every sales page screams limited time. That's why checkout timers count down. That's why prices end in .99. Not because it saves you money, but because it shuts off your analysis. And here's the most dangerous part most people never realize. Impulse spending doesn't just drain a wallet, it rewires your identity. Every time you buy something you don't need, you reinforce a subconscious belief. I am someone who reacts instead of decides. Repeat that pattern long enough and it becomes who you are financially. But the opposite is also true. Every time you don't buy, you strengthen a different identity. I'm someone who controls money, not someone controlled by it. That identity shift is the real kill switch. Not a budgeting app, not a finance book, not a side hustle. It's a mental interrupt. Wealthy thinkers don't have stronger willpower than everyone else. They just use a simple psychological pattern that stops impulse spending instantly. Here it is. Before any non-essential purchase, they ask one question. Does this multiply my future or just entertain my present? That single question forces your slow brain to activate. Because now you're not thinking about price, you're thinking about consequences. And consequences are where wealth is decided. Let's break this down visually. Imagine two buttons in front of you. One gives you pleasure for 30 seconds, the other gives you freedom for 30 years. Most people press the first button automatically because it lights up faster. But disciplined minds learn to wait half a second longer. That half-second pause is where financial empires are born. It's not about never spending, it's about interrupting the automatic reaction loop. Psychologists call this pattern breaking. When you interrupt a habit loop, you weaken it. When you weaken it, you gain control. And when you gain control, you redirect your money toward assets instead of impulses. Think about this. If someone redirected just $15 a day from impulse spending into investments, that's $5,475 a year. Invested consistently with compound growth, that's not pocket change, that's a future. The tragedy is most people never see this math because their purchases feel small, harmless, invisible. But financial leaks never look dangerous in drops. They only look dangerous in totals. A leaking pipe doesn't flood your house in 1 second. It floods it drip by drip. Spending works the same way. And right now, millions of people are trying to increase income without fixing the leak. That's like pouring water into a bucket with holes in it. You don't need more income first. You need fewer leaks. Because the person who controls spending will always outperform the person who only chases earning. Income builds lifestyle. Control builds wealth. Now here's where this becomes powerful. Once you master the kill switch question, does this multiply my future or entertain my present? Something strange starts happening. Ads stop working on you. Urgency stops controlling you. Flash sales stop exciting you. You start seeing marketing the way magicians see tricks, as illusions designed to misdirect attention. And when you see the illusion, you stop falling for it. That's when the system loses power over you. Not because the system changed, but because you did. The truth is, financial freedom isn't reserved for people with higher salaries. It's reserved for people with higher awareness. Awareness is the real currency. Because once you see how the game is played, you stop playing it like everyone else. And that's the moment everything shifts. You stop being a consumer, and you start becoming a strategist. So how do we fight back? We use the 72-hour rule. Think of this as a manual override for your prefrontal cortex, that part of your brain responsible for logic, to regain control from the impulsive amygdala. The protocol is simple. The moment you feel that need to buy something, whether it's a new gadget or a Pavement Princess truck accessory, you are legally forbidden from clicking buy. You move it into a waiting list or a separate digital folder. You date it. You must wait exactly 72 hours before you can look at it again. This creates a cooling off period. In those first few minutes, you are experiencing a chemical high. Your heart rate is up, you feel like that item is the missing piece of your life. But after 72 hours, the dopamine clears, the seeking phase ends. When you return to that cart 3 days later, the clarity is often startling. Suddenly, that must-have item looks like what it actually is, a plastic distraction that will eventually end up in a self-storage unit, which, by the way, has a 40 to 50% profit margin because we are a nation of hoarders. By denying immediate gratification, you aren't just saving money, you are starving the predatory algorithms that rely on your impulsivity to survive. Once the dopamine fog lifts, we apply the utility test. Most of us don't buy things for their function. We buy them for their perceived status. The richest people you know often look broke, while the brokest people you know look rich. Real wealth is invisible. Millionaires drive Toyotas and Fords. They don't finance $90,000 Pavement Princess trucks that never leave the asphalt. 86% of people driving luxury vehicles are not millionaires. They are financing an appearance they can't afford. Use the cost per hour metric. Ask yourself, how many hours of my life am I trading for this item? If you make $25 an hour and want a $500 gadget, is that item worth 20 hours of sitting in a cubicle? When you wait 72 hours, you decouple the status of the object from its utility. You realize that the $80,000 truck doesn't make you more of a man. It just turns you into a wage slave handcuffed to a $1,700 monthly payment. By denying the algorithm's immediate charge, you observe a fascinating phenomenon. The urgent desire simply dissipates. You realize you were being played. You move from being a product for the banks to a customer who demands value. Now, here is the secret. Take the money you didn't spend because of the 72-hour rule and automate the win. Integrate this into your digital banking. If you saved $100 this week by not buying that impulse item, set a trigger to move that $100 into a high-yield savings account or a low-cost index fund. This activates the snowball effect. The first $100,000 is a brutal grind, but once you hit your crossover number, which you find by dividing your annual contribution by 0.07, your money starts making more money than you physically can. When you break the cycle of reactive consumption, you gain mental freedom. You move from the struggle tier, where banks extract $12.1 billion in fees from you, to the VIP tier, where your assets do the heavy lifting. You stop measuring success by what you own and start measuring it by your optionality, the ability to walk away from a toxic job because you have a $20,000 cushion. You transition from a dopamine-driven spender to a high-leverage wealth builder. Wealth isn't about how much you make. It's about the gap between what you earn and what you spend. The 72-hour rule is the easiest way to widen that gap without feeling the pain of budgeting. What do you think? Are you going to try the 72-hour rule this week? Comment your crossover number below. Take your annual savings goal and divide it by 0.07. Let's see who's on the path to freedom. Tag a friend who is currently being hunted by the Buy Now button, and subscribe if you're ready to stop being a product and start being an investor. The system is designed to keep you broke, but the math says you don't have to be. I'll see you in the next one.